It's 1955. A race car accident is about to change everything. But right now, Pierre Levay doesn't know that. He's driving the fastest car ever built, the Mercedes-Benz 300 SLR. This silver car is about to make history, but not in the way anyone expected. This isn't just about a car. This is about what happens when you build something too perfect for its own good. After World War II ended, Mercedes-Benz stayed away from racing for almost 10 years, but in 1954 they decided to come back. And when Mercedes comes back, they don't mess around. Rudolf Uhlenhapp was the man behind this car. He wasn't just building a race car, he was building a machine that would show the world what German engineering could do. The 300 SLR started as a racing car, but it became something much more special. Most cars in 1955 had maybe 200 horsepower. The 300 SLR had 310. That's like bringing a rocket to a bicycle race. But the power wasn't even the best part. This car had fuel injection, something most cars wouldn't get for 20 more years. It had a super light frame that weighed almost nothing. And here's the crazy part. It had an air brake that would pop up behind the driver when he needed to stop fast. Picture this, you're going 180 miles per hour. That's faster than any normal car could even dream of going. You need to slow down, but regular brakes would overheat and stop working. So this metal flap shoots up behind you like a parachute, creating wind resistance to slow you down. It was genius. For Pierre Levay, this amazing system would soon become a matter of life and death. When Mercedes returned to racing in 1955, they didn't just win, they crushed everyone. Juan Manuel Fangio and Stirling Moss drove these silver cars and won race after race. It wasn't even close. At the Mille Miglia race in Italy, Stirling Moss did something that still sounds impossible today. He drove 1,000 miles across Italy in just over 10 hours. That's an average speed of 98 miles per hour on public roads, through towns, past people standing right next to the track. Think about that. Moss was driving faster than highway speeds on roads with no safety barriers, no protection, shared with regular traffic and farm trucks. One tiny mistake meant death. But the 300 SLR was so advanced, so perfectly engineered that it made the impossible look easy. While other cars had problems with their engines cutting out or running rough, the Mercedes just kept going perfectly. The fuel injection system, borrowed from airplane technology, meant the car ran the same whether it was hot, cold, at sea level, or in the mountains. The car's frame was built from thin metal tubes welded together. This made it super strong but also incredibly light. This wasn't just advanced for 1955. Race cars are still built this way today. Pierre Levay was 49 years old when he climbed into his 300 SLR. In racing, that's ancient. Most drivers retire by 35. But Levay had been racing since before the war. He'd seen friends die in crashes. He'd survived when motorsport became a tool for Nazi propaganda. He understood danger. But Levay also understood the 300 SLR better than younger drivers. This wasn't a car you could just muscle around the track. It was a precision tool that rewarded smooth, careful driving. The air brake system needed a gentle touch. The fuel injection worked best with steady throttle inputs. The car was teaching him to be better. Sitting inside the 300 SLR felt like sitting in a spaceship. Everything was precise, clean, purposeful. The instruments looked like they belonged in an airplane. The steering wheel was thin and perfectly balanced. The gear lever was short and clicked into place with mechanical precision. The engine made a sound unlike anything else, a smooth, powerful roar that grew from a whisper to thunder as you pressed the gas pedal. This wasn't just a car, this was mechanical perfection. On May 1st, 1955, at Le Mans, France, Pierre Levay was running in second place. His teammate Fangio was winning. Everything was going perfectly. The 300 SLR was proving that German engineering was the best in the world. The car was working flawlessly. The fuel injection kept the engine running perfectly. The air brake system was handling the high speeds down the long, straight sections of track. Mercedes was dominating the race with technology their competitors couldn't match. Levay had no idea that in just a few hours, the amazing machine he was driving, this silver lightning bolt that had changed racing forever, would become part of the worst accident in motorsport history. But even that tragedy couldn't destroy what the 300 SLR represented. 70 years later, it's still considered one of the greatest racing cars ever built. At 6:26 p.m. on May 1st, 1955, everything changed in just 3 seconds. Pierre Levey was coming down the main straight at nearly 150 miles per hour. In front of him, Lance Macklin's Austin Healey was slowing down to let the leading Jaguar pass. It should have been routine. Racing drivers deal with this situation hundreds of times. But at those speeds, 3 seconds isn't enough time to think. It's barely enough time to react. Levey hit his brakes and swerved left. His 300 SLR launched into the air like a rocket, flew over a safety barrier and crashed into the crowd. The fuel tank exploded. The magnesium body caught fire and burned so hot that water couldn't put it out. 84 people died. Over 120 were injured. It was the worst accident in motorsport history. But here's the thing that haunts people even today. It wasn't really anybody's fault. Not Levey's, not Macklin's, not even the track's. It was just racing at the absolute limit of what was possible. And the 300 SLR was so far beyond the limit that when things went wrong, they went catastrophically wrong. Mercedes pulled out of racing immediately, not just from that race, from all racing. They packed up their cars, their equipment, their entire program and went home. The 300 SLR, the most advanced race car ever built, would never race again. But the story doesn't end there. Rudolf Uhlenhaut, the man who designed the 300 SLR, did something incredible. He took one of the race cars and converted it for the road. He put license plates on it, added some basic comfort features, and drove it to work every day. Imagine that, using a 200-mile-per-hour race car as your daily driver. Uhlenhaut would cruise the German Autobahn in his silver 300 SLR, probably the only person in history to commute in a car that could outrun fighter jets. This road-going 300 SLR became known as the Uhlenhaut Coupe. For decades, it sat quietly in Mercedes' collection, almost forgotten. Most people didn't even know it existed. Then, in 2022, something amazing happened. Mercedes decided to sell the Uhlenhaut Coupe at auction. Car collectors around the world held their breath. This wasn't just any classic car, this was automotive history. When the hammer fell, the final price was $142 million, 0 cents. $142 million. It became the most expensive car ever sold at auction, beating the previous record by more than $90 million, 0 cents. Why would someone pay that much for a car? Because the 300 SLR represents something that can never be built again. The absolute peak of 1950s engineering. Uncompromised by safety regulations, unlimited by budget constraints, built purely to go faster than anything else on Earth. Modern Formula One cars are faster around a track, sure, but they're built to strict rules, with mandatory safety features, weight limits, and engine restrictions. The 300 SLR was built with only one rule: make it as fast as possible. The technologies Mercedes put into the 300 SLR eventually found their way into road cars. Fuel injection became standard. Space frame construction influenced car design for decades. Even the air brake concept lives on in modern supercars with active aerodynamics. But more than the technology, the 300 SLR changed how we think about performance cars. It proved that with enough engineering skill and determination, you could build something that transcended normal limits. It showed that a car could be more than transportation. It could be art, science, and poetry all rolled into one silver package. Today, Mercedes builds some of the fastest, most advanced cars in the world. The AMG Black Series, the Project One hypercar, they're all descendants of that original 300 SLR philosophy. Push the boundaries, use the best technology, make no compromises. The tragedy at Le Mans taught the racing world about the importance of safety. Modern racetracks have barriers, runoff areas, and medical teams that can respond in seconds. Cars have survival cells, Hans devices, and fire suppression systems. Racing is still dangerous, but nothing like 1955. Yet something was lost too. The 300 SLR represented pure, unfiltered speed. It was engineering without compromise, performance without apology. In our modern world of safety regulations and insurance requirements, we'll never see its like again. Pierre Levey died doing what he loved, driving the most advanced racing machine of his era. The 84 people who died that day at Le Mans became part of motorsport history, their sacrifice leading to safety improvements that have saved thousands of lives since. The Mercedes-Benz 300 SLR raced for only one season, won almost every race it entered, and then disappeared forever. But its legend grew stronger with time. It became the car that was too fast, too advanced, too perfect for the world it was born into. 70 years later, when automotive engineers want to describe the ultimate racing car, they still talk about the 300 SLR. Not because of what it accomplished on the track, though that was remarkable, but because of what it represented, the absolute refusal to accept any limits. In a world where everything has rules, regulations, and safety margins, the 300 SLR remains as a reminder of what's possible when human ambition meets engineering brilliance, and the only goal is to go faster than anyone has ever gone before. That's the real legacy of the Silver Lightning, not tragedy, but inspiration. Not an ending, but a beginning that continues to influence how we build cars today.